Namaskara. I propose to present the Pratah Smarana Stotram composed by Adi Shankaracharya. According to Advaita Vedanta, the Almighty God is the only reality. The world which we see, the world wherein we live, and in fact, we ourselves are nothing but this supreme reality. Referred to as Brahman in the scriptures, this Almighty God eludes any categorization. This hymn consists of only 3 verses and is the quintessence of Advaita Vedanta. As we all know, the dawn is the most important time in everyday life. The first thoughts, words, and actions of the day greatly influence the life of every individual. If you think of the divine in early morning, it will profoundly influence spiritual illumination. So, Adi Shankara composed this morning prayer on this supreme spirit, in which the mind, the speech, and the body of the individual are sought to be dedicated to the Almighty. The first verse starts with Pratah Smarami, the second with Pratah Bhajami, and the third with Pratah Namami. In the first verse, he says that at dawn he remembers that Almighty, which is nothing but the Atman shining in our hearts. We all know the 3 states of existence, namely the waking, the dream, and the deep sleep states. But beyond these 3 states, there is another state called Turiya, and the Almighty is beyond this state and is in the form of Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, and bliss. Shankara says, I am that Brahman which is indivisible and not composed of the 5 elements of space, air, fire, water, and the earth. Pratah Smarami Hridisam Spurada Atmatattvam Satchit Sukham Paramaham Sagatim Turiyam Yat Swapnajagara Sushuptimavaiti Nityam Tad Brahma Nishkalamaham Nachabhuta Sangha. In the second verse, he states, I worship in the morning that supremely effulgent Brahman who is spoken of in the Vedas as unborn, changeless, and the highest, who is inaccessible to the mind and whom words cannot directly describe. Since Brahman eludes categorization and is not within the limits of ideas and words, it is indicated in the negative way as not this, neti, neti. So Shankara says that at dawn he sings the praise of that Brahman which is unattainable by mind and speech, but by the grace of which all words shine, whom the scriptures declare through the words, not this, neti, neti. Pratah bhajami manasa vachasa magamyam vacho vibhanti nikila yadanugrahena yanneti neti vachanair nigama avochu tam deva devam ajamachyutamahuravgriyam. In the third verse, Shankara refers to his famous example of a rope and a snake. In the dark, when a person happens to tumble upon a rope, he is likely to mistake it as a snake or a garland. When he flashes a light, he understands it as a rope. Similarly, the elements that constitute the world are but illusory appearances on the basic reality of Brahman. Just as a person in the dark mistakes a rope as a serpent or a garland, this world is but an illusion. As the sun of wisdom rises, these illusions disappear and the goal of life is reached. He says, I offer my salutations to that Brahman who is known as a Supreme Purusha, who is beyond the darkness of ignorance, who is brilliant like the sun, who is everything, and on whom the entire universe appears, just as a rope appears as a snake. Pratah tamasa paramarkavarnam purnam sanatana padam purushottamakhyam yasminnidam jagadase samasheshamurto rajvam bhujangamayiva pratibhasitam vai. The Parashruti states that he who reads these three verses at the time of dawn achieves the supreme spiritual goals. Let us hear the verses in detail. Pratah smarami hridisam spuradatmatattvam Sachit sukam paramaham samatim turiyam Yaswapna jagara sushuptim avaiti nityam Tad brahma nishkalamaham rajabhuta sangha Pratarbhajami manasa vachasamagam Vacho vibhanti nikila yadanugrahena Yanneti neti vachanayar nigamavochu Tam deva devam ajamachyutamahuravgriyam Pratah tamasa paramarkavarnam Purnam sanatana padam Purushottamakhyam Yasminnidam jagadase samasheshamurto Rajvam bhujangamayiva pratibhasitam vai. Shlokatrayamidam punyam Lokatraya vibhushanam Pratakale patedyastu Sagachet paramam padam. Om Harihi Bol.